Where in America can you drive an off-road vehicle that's non-licensed, non-insured in downtown? Because you can't. I said, why do you expect to do it here? Welcome to Compai's Expat Channel. I'm Compai. I am Sosua's voice of reason. Guys, liberty doesn't mean lawlessness. But if you have liberty, you better use it responsibly. If you're not going to use it responsibly, you're going to get accountability. Guys, that's what happened in Sosua. Let's talk about this.
There's a lot of places to rent in Sosua. If you're looking for peaceful, affordable, and tranquil, look at Casa De Compai, Sosua's hidden gem. When you're ready to reserve at Casa De Compai, my contact information is in the description down below.
Things post-COVID have been much different than they were pre-COVID. One of the things that really changed after COVID was a lot of guys coming down here thinking the lawlessness was acceptable liberty. It was the norm, where it wasn't. Those of us who've been down here for an extended period of time knew that it had to change, it was going to change, and we were wondering how it took so long. So what do I mean, guys? When you are using the liberty that is granted to you as a tourist, and it gets pushed to the point where it's lawlessness, there's going to be accountability because the responsibility for those liberties wasn't being exercised. Nobody was taking into consideration that maybe this just isn't the best thing to do. And the final straw was all these quads, the four-wheelers, the ATVs, that new law that finally got implemented, because it was waiting to be implemented for the last year and a half. But because of things in town politically, it kept getting pushed off. It kept getting pushed off and pushed off. So it got to the point where they just couldn't push it off anymore. There were too many accidents, guys getting hurt, property damage, pedestrians being run into. I mean, I can't tell you how many videos on Facebook I would see of Dominicans and foreigners just getting hurt on these ATVs. Not to mention how many times I've seen just packs of guys ripping down the highway, ripping through town, just driving in circles. Guys, you took the liberty to rent these things, and you used it in a lawless nature. You didn't have the responsibility, so you got the accountability. And the accountability was what the government said. We're not putting up with it anymore. Okay, that's what they've been doing this whole time since Operation Atlantico started. Let's talk to chicas. What did they do with the chicas? We don't like how you're dressed. A lot of guys get upset with that, okay? Because a society has the responsibility and it has the authority to say, we don't like how you represent our town. We don't like how you represent our community. You're not dressed how we want. And guys, that is not uncommon in society. Just look at how the Muslims regulate their dress codes. Look how the Hasidic Jews regulate their dress codes. Guys, it's the norm. But in the Western society, we have more of a liberal mentality where we'll let things go. But when things get pushed too far, then the accountability comes into it. And that's what you saw. You saw the accountability of the behavior of the girls and how they were dressed. They just didn't want it anymore because it was bad for business. Now, I know that's going to blow up the comment section, but 300 foot of your town should not determine the reputation of your town. Things are different now. I say it all the time, pre-COVID, post-COVID. Pre-COVID, you couldn't get into a bar years ago unless you had a collared shirt on or a nice disco. You couldn't get in unless you had a collared shirt, pants. They might make an exception to nice shorts, but you weren't getting in with white beaters. You weren't getting in sandals and socks. They got away from that. They were more liberal in their dress codes. Now you're going to see that behavior getting called into question. You're going to see that changing. And it's already changing because I can see in my business where I'm getting guys who are coming back that haven't been here in 6, 7 years. I'm seeing new guys coming in who are like, I like the change now. I think I can go down there and I think I can have a better time now. But there's also a lot of people who are extremely, extremely upset. It's accountability. Let's talk how the property has changed. Property values have skyrocketed within the last 5 years. Post-pandemic, starting the fall 2020, things just went through the roof. But the guys who've been doing the rentals during this time, they had the liberty to do business in private condo complexes and in private gated communities. That liberty turned into lawlessness because they weren't being responsible to who they were renting to and holding the renters accountable. Guys, we had one guy unfortunately lost his life, and yet we had another stabbing where I live 4 days ago. That falls on the owners. And my thing is, which I get some problems for, the person who is renting that villa, that apartment, has a responsibility to hold his clients accountable for their behavior. Or they should lose the right to do business in that gated community or that condo complex. I firmly believe that. And you're seeing that transition happen. That's been happening for a good number of years. Many gated communities will not let the quads in. You have a problem with the chica, you're thrown out. Do you see how collectively Sosua's population, a good number of business people have said, out of the liberty we have given everybody, it became lawlessness because nobody was being responsible enough, so now we need to implement accountability. And that's where people are getting upset about the accountability. Guys, things are going to change. You need to change with them. I say it all the time. Sosua is not the same city I fell in love with 16 years ago. But neither am I the same guy. 16 years ago, at 9:30, I was getting a shower to go out. Now, 9 o'clock, I'm getting a shower to be asleep by 9:30. So my whole world is different. But that doesn't mean I dislike Sosua at all, or I love it any more or any less. It's my home. It's where I'll probably die here. I'm fully invested here, and I'm happy I am. But I still want to see the town go in the right direction. And here's another issue, or another issue isn't the good word. Another reason why you're seeing things change in Sosua. When people are spending $165,000 American dollars for a 1,000 square foot house on a quarter of an acre, that's my house right there. Okay, that's my little house. Now that same house, to build it where I live, it's $330,000. You have a different mentality of people buying and moving to Sosua. They're expecting more for that higher price. And that doesn't include guys ripping around town on quads. They don't want that. They don't want to hear the partying. They don't want to hear the hookers screaming and yelling over non-payment. That's not the communities they want to live in. And the guys who are building these communities and these condo complexes, they have too much to lose because your neighbor wants to rent his apartment for $80 a night or his villa for $200 a night. The real money is in the sales, and that's what's driving the real economy in Sosua. Let me bring up another point. I have a good friend, comes to my cigar lounge all the time, and we were having a conversation. He goes, if I can't drive my quad downtown, I'm packing up, I'm selling, I'm moving. Fair enough. It's your right. It's your house. You do what you want with it. But let me ask you a question. Where in America can you drive an off-road vehicle that's non-licensed, non-insured in downtown? Because you can't. I said, why do you expect to do it here? Because we've been doing it for so long. Yeah, but that doesn't mean lawlessness is correct. Eventually, they're going to reel that in. If everybody would have been chill, it wouldn't have been a problem. Just like the downtown. If people would have acted right, the girls dressed accordingly. Because, guys, there was a lot of problems going on downtown. Let me ask you another question. And, guys, I know I'm rambling here a little bit, but if you have an answer to this question, please put it in the comments down below. What city, anywhere in the world, can you have open air prostitution that's unregulated, drugs being peddled open air in a downtown area, and lawlessness in your traffic laws, people driving pretty much any way they want? What productive city anywhere in the world that has a good quality of life has that? I don't know anywhere. Because when you have liberty, you have to have responsibility. If you're not responsible with liberty, it turns into lawlessness. And then the accountability. So guys, that's just my opinion on how things have changed, where they're going to go. Things are going to continue on the same path. They're not going to change. Well, they're not going to change direction. Let me say that. There's always room for changing things. But this is how how things are going to be going in Sosua. I hope everybody can come down here and enjoy Sosua for what it is. It's a great beach town. I hope Sosua gets funner than it's been in the last 5 years. I really would hope some of these business people who are downtown would realize what really made Sosua successful pre-COVID. Make Sosua fun again. Make places where people can dance, where people can hang out. So people say, oh, the town's dead. No, the town's getting really ripe for a lot of good opportunity if you know how to capitalize on it. So guys, with that being said, click the like button, subscribe, leave the awesome comments. And guys, always remember, keep personal private and private personal. Peace out.